I am Megan Francis from Updox. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before we get started, just a couple quick housekeeping notes. The phone lines are muted today as we're recording today's presentation. Do not fear though, if you go to the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar panel and see the questions tab, you can ask all of your questions there during the presentation. I will try to get those taken care of toward the end. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this started. So today's presentation is, as the title reads, getting in front of your patient when they're not in front of you. So as consumerism becomes the growing trend with patients' approach to their healthcare, practices have to adapt to increase in these demands. Creating a patient-centric strategy with mobile health solutions in mind, practices are able to drive patient advocacy and improve relationships among the entire care team. Specifically, Updox has partnered with Greenway Health, providing a seamless connection between the EHR and a communications platform. Providing the Greenway customer base with a solution that not only provides better service to their patient populations through enriched relationships and engagement, but also offers the opportunity to see new revenue generating channels for the practice. Today's presentation will provide you insight on how to best utilize the solutions built from the Updox Greenway partnership to really optimize your practice's administrative workflow and drive your patients to be advocates in their own care. This is not a product demo. We do those one-on-one. This is more of a peek at what the partnership solution provides in terms of enhanced and simplified workflows. So to ensure that our practices are ahead of the consumerism trend, we need to start with who? That's right, the consumer, or better yet known as your patients. But the patients have to participate as well. It can't just be you providing contact for them, but they also have to communicate back. So recent studies have shown that they truly do want to participate. 9 out of 10 patients want to share in that health decision. And over 67% of providers surveyed also believe that mobile health tools can truly help them create that participation. But sadly, as the last stat shows, very few patients are actually interacting with the practices on a daily basis. So aside from being providers, front office staff, or just staff in the practice, you've all once been a patient at some time or another. So can you think of a time when you've received a mobile reminder for an upcoming appointment, or a time you've been called by your practice? What's been the most convenient for you? What made the most impact? What has made you feel more involved in your healthcare experience? Today we're going to be discussing just a couple scenarios in which your practice can make easy connections with your patients in a convenient method for them, while also remaining efficient and effective for your staff. But the key roadblock for practices that we've heard in recent years has been adding yet another system to do so while maximizing the usage of their clinical EHR. So to fix this, Updox has seamlessly embedded these tools into the workflow of your practices as it works today with your EHR, delivering the ability for providers to spend more time doing what they do best, and that would be helping your patients. We provide a one-stop shop, or so I like to say, an application that provides you all of those necessary tools in one place that seamlessly integrates with Greenway. One of our biggest champions for the patient experience we've seen is Dr. Phil Boucher. He is a pediatrician in Lincoln, Nebraska, and an Updox user. So the quote really says it all. If you're trying to reach your patients in an impactful way, you have to provide an outreach method that meets them where they're already at, their mobile phones. The next slides will present a couple scenarios in which a practice has developed a robust mobile engagement initiative that provides easy steps to engage in the comfortable method chosen by your patients. So the following scenario will include these key players, all important to developing a positive patient experience. Dr. Waters, our provider, whose practice has recently implemented a patient experience plan of action to tackle a certain demographic of patients at risk for diabetes. Tanya Jones, in the middle, the front office manager, acts as the facilitator for most of the communication flowing back and forth between patients and the practice. And then Jane Smith at the end is our patient who has a family history of diabetes. And so we start our story here. In an effort to make sure this segmented patient group has all the education they need, Dr. Waters and Tanya decide to broadcast the entire base that they will be hosting diabetic screenings at the practice. From there, the practice is better able to reach out directly to people like Jane on her mobile phone. So Jane logs into her phone, sees that message pop up from the practice, and is able to make a better decision in the security of her own home. So from there, once her appointment has been scheduled, obviously the practice wants to make sure that the patient shows up for the appointment. No-shows are costly, and phone calls are really a time suck for your practice and your staff. So Dr. Waters' practice sets up automated reminders to run in the background of that workflow, 100% based off of the patient preferences, to deliver up to 3 reminders to Jane before her appointment. Jane receives these on her mobile phone where she confirms the appointment and the practice calendar stays full. So as it says above, studies say that engaging your patients in their care can increase loyalty, health literacy, and improve outcomes, but over 89% of physicians say they would likely recommend an mHealth app to their patients, meaning those mobile health tools to engage and communicate back and forth. So not only do studies suggest that you should engage your patients, a lot of these providers also agree with that. So back to our story, we have Jane who has now scheduled an appointment with Dr. Waters' office for a diabetic screening. So what comes next in this positive patient experience? As the front office manager, Tanya Jones is in charge of all of the communications coming from Dr. Waters. In an effort to make sure Jane and all the other patients are armed with the information they need before the visit, she tailors a secure text message to the individual patient scheduled for screening, complete with content available on what to expect for the upcoming appointment. Making sure that your patient shows up is one important part of the appointment process. But educating them before the visit leads to a much more enriching experience for you and your patient. Jane is able to prepare for the meeting with this information and make sure that any decisions that need to be made beforehand, she's already good to go. A visit may result in a medication change, possibly suggestion for starting a new medication, maybe a referral to another specialist for follow-up, in which Jane will already know what she needs to do in those certain situations. So this saves you time, your patient's time, staff time to answering questions to ensure that this appointment is as meaningful as possible. From there, the appointment for the diabetes screening is completed, where Dr. Waters performs the screening and discusses follow-up options for Jane. From there, her results are reviewed by Dr. Waters and her staff, but they still might need a second opinion. So with Updox Team Messenger, Dr. Waters and Tanya are actually able to interact with each other directly from the Updox application. From there, they can chat each other about Jane's results. So her hemoglobin levels seem a little bit high. So Dr. Waters refers Jane to Dr. Vandelay, an endocrinologist in the area. So from there, Tanya Jones is actually able to construct a message directly to Dr. Vandelay just to double check on those results and make sure they are where they need to be, or if they are really too high to have her come in for a follow-up. Once they get the okay from Dr. Vandelay, they communicate that to each other in their chat, which also shows up on Dr. Waters' mobile phone, which makes it very simple for use when they're not in the same area. And the okay comes that they can send off the results to Jane and let her know that everything is okay. So from there, with the secure text feature, you're able to send PHI and patient results directly to a patient's mobile phone, but you might be a little concerned about that. With HIPAA compliance, you have to have a 2-step verification process to make it truly secure. So the first step is sending directly to the patient's preferred method of communication. The second step would be that the patient is able to verify their birth date. From here, Jane can log in, see that she's got results ready from the practice, And then she has access to her records directly at her fingertips. In the convenience of her phone, she can review her results, reply to the message, routing directly into the practice, and then which can be pulled directly into the patient's chart. So after the appointment, after you receive your results, what comes next? We also provide a unique way of getting in touch with your patients after the fact and providing that feedback that practices need to know that they're doing the best that they can, where to pivot and make changes to their workflow. We're able to send out patient surveys that come directly back into your Updox account, making it really easy for you to review that information and make the changes necessary. Just another quick quote from one of our patient experience users, Dr. Boucher. Super impressed with how Updox supports patient engagement and allows practices to build valuable relationships with their patients. And that's all we're driving to do, really. Engagement is key to empowering your patients to take charge of their healthcare. Create those patient advocates, make them more literate in their health. Updox and Greenway have really worked hard to provide solutions to ensure the betterment of overall outcomes, as well as simplify and improve the efficiencies of your practice business. So I hope these workflows really helped you kind of see a basis of what Updox leveraged with your EHR can really do and how it can improve the overall workflows you have at your place of business, but as well as save that staff time and improve the relationships that you have, not only with your patients, but as you could see, interacting with other providers outside of your practice.